right
If
now.
you're Trae Young, you have every right to feel disrespected. I'm not arguing against that. If you're Trae Young with the work you've put in for the franchise, the numbers you put up, I know that's what players are gonna care about. That is like Trae Young knows he's led the league in assists all these times. Well, I don't know how many times he's actually done it, but Trae Young knows he's averaging 10 assists, all of this, 25 points. He knows what he's doing. If you're Trae Young, you have every right to feel disrespected. I mean this with as much respect as possible. That's not the Hawks' business to care.
It appears that the Atlanta Hawks are having reservations about signing Trae Young to a contract extension. He has yet to receive a contract extension, and Trae Young is reportedly disappointed because of this. We just seen De'Aaron Fox sign his contract extension. Apparently, Trae Young is available or is eligible for the same thing, a 4-year, $229 million contract extension. And it's been reported, do not be surprised at this point if Trae Young just doesn't sign a contract extension and just plays out his year next year and is an unrestricted free agent. What are your thoughts on this, fellas?
They're saying he's going to do that just because he's upset that they didn't offer it when he wanted them to offer it.
Well, there seems to be a reticence among the Hawks organization to give him an extension.
Yeah, well, he has no choice but to play them. He has no choice. If they're not offering him anything, he has to play out next year and then either take a player option or go into unrestricted free agency.
I don't even know if he has a player option next year.
He has a player option for 26, 27. Okay, I'm looking at it. Which he's probably not going to take and probably going to bet on himself, which makes sense. Go do your thing, Trae Young. I don't think this means much. I think the Hawks are doing the right thing.
What do you mean?
Exactly what he just said. This season coming up, this is the most talent that they've had around Trae Young. We're in year 8. So, Ron, moving forward, I mean, I know how you feel about Trae Young. So what I need you to do is I need you to take your reservation and I need you to pull it to the side a little bit. So this season coming up, this is probably the most talent that they've had. If they don't make a deep playoff run, because we already seen it in 21, we saw what happened last year. If they don't make a deep playoff run, they can't see themselves investing $56 to $60 million for the next 5 years in a guy.
So, Chill, what you're saying to me is you're taking it out on me for you finally doing your job after me being here for 8 years and not having shit to work with.
The NBA
John Collins.
Yeah,
you've given me John Collins.
Trae Young is
now
still
you want to hold it
the
against
finally
me.
being competent. Yes.
Yeah, you want to hold it against me.
That's
for
not fair.
Not being successful.
That's not fair.
Yes.
But Ron, you realize you have a higher view of Trae Young than a lot of people, executives in the league do.
Yes, he does.
I'm not saying I have a low view on Trae. I think Trae's really good. I think he should get an extension. But Ron, factually, NBA execs and the people at the Hawks, they do not view Trae Young like you view Trae Young.
In fact, they don't know ball.
Well, but that's cool. But like, there's reasons why, though. I'm saying
they hired a new GM.
That's fine. But the Hawks are just saying that we're not going to commit $60 million for the next 5 years on Trae Young. Like, I think they're being smart. For the first time in his career, in my opinion, they put a roster around him that, in theory, should be able to compete for the first time in his career. In my opinion, you guys can disagree. In my opinion, this is the first time he has a legitimately really, really good roster. If they go through the season in an Eastern Conference that's debilitated with injuries and they aren't looking like contenders, they now know they can get off Trae at the deadline if they want to because they don't look like winning anything. And now they aren't crippled with a 5-year deal with Trae Young at $60 million. Or if they are looking like contenders, you then go into the playoffs with Trae Young, see what you can do. And if it once again doesn't go the way you envision, then unfortunately, Trae Young is going to leave in free agency or sign and trade. That's unfortunate. Or you can negotiate to extend it for a cheaper deal, which I don't think Trae Young's going to want to do, but we'll see. Like, all they've done is say, if this doesn't work out, Porzingis is out after this year because he's on a 1-year deal. And then we won't have Trae Young. And then we just build with Jalen Johnson, Onyeka, Zachary, Dyson, etc. And we just rebuild without losing anything. That's a better position than building with Trae Young for $60+ million for the next 5 years and not going anywhere. I think they're just being smart. I think they're just being smart.
That's smart. That's smart. That's intelligent. That's a better position for the Hawks. If I'm Trae Young, trade me. I'm not resigning.
Absolutely. If you're Trae Young,
you guys know right
now. If you're Trae Young, you have every right to feel disrespected. I'm not arguing against that. If you're Trae Young with the work you've put in for the franchise, the numbers you put up, I know that's what players are going to care about. That is like Trae Young knows he's led the league in assists all these times. Well, I don't know how many times he's actually done it, but Trae Young knows he's averaging 10 assists, all of this, 25 points. He knows what he's doing. If you're Trae Young, you have every right to feel disrespected. I mean this with as much respect as possible. That's not the Hawks' business to care.
No, I get that. I do understand.
That's all I'm saying.
I do understand.
They have to care. They have to care. Look. Yeah, they do.
Why do they
hired?
Wait a minute. Why do they have to care, Penn? Why?
First of all, they hired a new GM, Ansi Saleh, right? He has a law degree, and I spoke to some people who see him as a very big numbers guy, and he is a very contractually focused guy, which he has a great deal of working knowledge of the CBA.
Yep.
I think Swiper's right that they may not see him as a guy who's worth this kind of investment past 30. There's also the other mitigating factor, two-pronged factor of age relative to size that I think maybe some people who are very analytically focused may really hone in on the fact that he is a 6-foot guard who will turn 30 during the course of this contract, which could become a bad situation for us. Then there's the past history, which obviously Ansi Saleh was not there for, but he is aware of it, that there have been rumblings for 3-4 years about Trey Young as a teammate, Trey Young as a leader, Trey Young's locker room presence, all this stuff. Now, in Trey's credit, like to Trey's credit, he has been a really good player. Some people say he stat pads. I don't necessarily think that's true. Some people say he doesn't make his teammates better. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that's a little bit of hating. But all the off-court stuff, him skipping shoot-arounds, him, showing up late for things, him, maybe being prickly with some of his teammates not liking him, that stuff has to matter. So this summer, he skipped the Jordan Brand commitment, goes to Summer League to support his teammates, which was an interesting touch. I think right now, if he's going to cry about it, if he's going to vent about it, we saw the news report today, he's reportedly, disappointed or whatever. It's just going to get worse. It's going to be a distraction. And to your point, you said, well, he has the best team he's had ever. Well, that means you have a real shot in a wide open East to make an actual run, to do something good. And the last thing you want to do is have your star player salty the entire way through and worried about what his next stop's going to be. That's the problem here. And this is why you take care of De'Aaron Fox if you're the Spurs. You don't want the distraction hanging over your head. You don't want a player who's, feeling like you don't have a commitment towards him. But at the same time, you overcommit. Kristaps Porzingis goes down. You want to move off of Trae Young. Trae Young's having a down season. The defense is already in the pits of hell. Now you might see some teams say, I don't think we want him on our books for this kind of money. So I understand what the Hawks are doing, but you do have to care how he feels. He's your star player.
And can we also expand that to your point, Penn, about the Toronto Raptors? I think that when they added Kawhi Leonard in 2019, that was an all-in year. Like all our chips was pushed to the front of the table. If this doesn't work, if you don't win the NBA championship this year, even though you did lose Leonard, you probably were going to lose him anyway. And I think that this thing looks a lot different if you don't win the NBA championship. Maybe they do come off.
I don't think it's like that situation at all, Chill.
Here's why I'm thinking that. The reason why I'm thinking that is because you've had the playoff mishaps that you've had, where you've gone deep into the playoffs and you haven't exactly been able to get over the hump. Sure, you might have built a little bit better of a roster during that time, but the whole time it was about getting over that hump. Okay, this is the year that we're doing it. We're trading for arguably a top 5 player in the league. If we don't do it this year, trading for this guy, because he's going to be the difference. If we don't do it, there's no reason for us to keep this thing together. No reason. The incentive for them keeping it together was because they won it. Now, this Atlanta team, same logic. This is the best talent that's been around Trae Young. This is probably a one-year deal because, to your point, we have not seen Kristaps Porzingis stay healthy over the course of the years. So they're looking at this situation like, we got 1 year to make this thing work. If it doesn't work in this 1 year, if they end up winning it, okay, maybe they can flip Porzingis. Maybe they can sign and trade and get something back for him. But if we get to the midseason point and this thing isn't working, they're definitely going to scrap it.
I don't think it's close, Chill. First of all, let the record show. Let the court reporter read. I did not bring up the Raptors. Chill brought up the Raptors. So
I did.
First of all, I didn't do that. But now that you have brought up the Raptors, you open up that can of worms. I don't think that this is anything like that. Those teams were at the end of their run. I'll let you in on a secret. They regretted DeMar DeRozan's contract 1 year into it, and they wanted to move off that contract. Being able to add Leonard, even on an expiring, even if they felt that they couldn't keep him, it was as much about getting Leonard as it was about getting off of DeRozan's money. I think they felt very differently about him once he came onto the podium and said, well, if we had LeBron, we would have won too. I think Masai started to look at him a little bit differently after he said that. So that's different.
Wasn't lying.
I mean, he's not lying. That was a veteran-laden team that was at the end of their rope. They had Danny Green, they had Serge Ibaka, they had Marc Gasol. This Hawks team is not a veteran-laden team.
Wait a minute,
it is
though,
a relatively young team. Nikhil Alexander-Walker is young. Dyson Daniels is young. Jalen Johnson is young and very unproven. Zachary Rissache is in his second season. Kobe Buffkin is young. Onyeka Okongwu is young. If the problem with the Hawks right now is they're not like the 2019 Raptors at all. You know what they are like, though? They're like the 2023 Raptors. They're a lot like the 23 Raptors. They have a 20-something-year-old player who is coming up for a very big extension that hasn't had a lot of success over the last couple of years. That's making them a little bit nervous about, do I want to pay this guy? And that player was Pascal Siakam. They traded him because they didn't want to pay him what he felt, justifiably so, given what he's done with Indiana, what he was worth. That's the correct parallel. I don't think I'm picking the Hawks to come out of the East. I don't think you're picking the Hawks to come out of the East.
Oh, wait a minute.
You are?
I'm not. I'm not, but I do think that they have a chance. Right? That's first of all. I do think that they have a chance, but
Chill,
I want to double back.
A chance.
No,
Does he have a good chance?
Do
they have a better chance than Orlando?
Yeah,
yes.
I think that they do.
Yes.
I think that they do. But what I want to do, Penn, is I want to double back on what you just said. You talked about this team being a vet team. Okay, so Leonard was 27 years old. That's number one. Number two, Pascal Siakam was in year 2. I think he was. In addition to he's in year 3. Norman Powell was a young kid, right? Kyle Lowry was a vet. Yeah, okay. But
Kyle Lowry was 30 plus, chill.
But he was a vet. But even still,
it was an older team than the Hawks. Is what I'm saying.
Even if it was an older team than the Hawks, you win the NBA championship. If Leonard comes back, at minimum, what do you think this team is in the 2019-2020 season? At minimum, where is this team?
Yeah, they're contender.
I think they're in the NBA championship.
Yeah, they're a contender or a champion every year for the next 2 years. I get it.
Right. That's the point that.
But this Hawks team is A, not a contender, and B, not coming off 4 years of deep playoff runs. It's not the same. They're not a contender, Ron.
This season with this
Ron, how big is your list of contenders? Are you Ron? Look at me with a straight face and tell me the Atlanta Hawks are contenders.
The Atlanta Hawks are contenders.
Oh my God!
What, in a wide open East that we've acknowledged, you have Trae Young. But potentially, just so you guys don't fly off the rail.
Tony Robbins, a basketball encyclopedia, or you need
if Atlanta could
a top 10 player in the East. I have one of the better defenders in the East. I have Jalen Johnson, who is one of the better bigs in the East. We just added Kristaps Porzingis, an NBA champion. Zachary Rissache, we expect him to take a step forward, but even if he doesn't, he's one of the better 3-and-D guys.
You're locking them in better than Detroit.
Yes.
They're locked in.
I think so.
Locked in better than Detroit.
Yes, they were almost better than Detroit last year.
It's possible. I'm not saying a lot.
I got them at the 4 seed. I got them at the 4 seed.
The 4 seed
this year coming in.
And where would they be in the West, Joe?
They're not in the West.
Hold on. I want to ask, because if you're a real contender, you probably can compete in the West.
They're a contender in the
last
East.
I checked,
I don't think the Knicks would be a contender in the West, but they're going to make the final possible.
No. And to your point, Ben, even still, I don't have to worry about
Cleveland's a contender in the West, but they're probably going to make the finals.
I got to get to the NBA championship, right? And the only way I'm going to get to the NBA championship, I got to get to the NBA championship, getting through the Eastern Conference. That's it. I don't have to worry about playing against Oklahoma City in a 7-game series. And I got to worry about Oklahoma City when I get to the NBA championship. I got to worry about Denver when I get to the NBA championship. I got to worry about the Lakers. I got to worry about Houston. I got to worry about all these other teams when I get to the NBA championship. In order to get to the NBA championship, I got to get through Giannis. In order to get to the NBA championship, I got to get through Detroit. In order to get to the NBA championship, I got to get through Orlando and New York and Cleveland. These are the teams that I have to get through. So I'm not concerned with the Western Conference right now. What I am concerned about is matchups. So if it's
but that's not how it works, Ben.
Yeah, no, I understand how conferences
Cleveland,
work.
To me, if you ask me, Cleveland would not be one of the 4 best teams in the West either.
Yo, oh my God. Contenders, there's usually 4 contenders. If you think there are more than 4 contenders, it's 5 contenders in a really deep year. If you think there's more than 5 contenders, you're crazy. There aren't usually more than 5 contenders.
Are there contenders in the Eastern Conference then if they're not one of the 4 best teams in the NBA?
Honestly, if the Cleveland Cavaliers were in the Western Conference, they would be a playoff team.
Okay, but I'm saying so there are no contenders in the East then, based on that thought. And all the best teams are in the West.
I think Cleveland is a contender. I think New York, you could put them on the fringe, but I don't think it's a secret to say most of the contenders in this league are in the West. Denver, OKC,
which is fair.
Houston.
Okay,
Those are the contenders. Beyond that,
yes.
the Lakers. Beyond that, the Clippers. Maybe. Beyond that, who? I'm sorry. Atlanta is not on that level, yo.
Penn, we did the same thing though. Here's the problem though, Penn. We did the same thing in June when the final started. Like Indiana has no chance in beating Oklahoma City.
We had a
7-game dogfight.
Yo, chill.
We had a 7-game dogfight.
After January 1st, Indiana was the second best team in the league.
Right. And
they ended up as the second best team in the league.
And this Atlanta team, and I can tell you right now, Ron, in January, in February, in March, none of us up here was talking about Indiana in the NBA championship.
Well, I mean,
not one of us. Don't get me
No,
wrong.
Swiper, you didn't even say the finals. Swiper, you didn't say the finals.
Right, but you was hyping them.
You did not say the finals. You was praising them. You did not say the finals.
Yes. None of us was up here talking about them in the NBA championship. None of us was doing that, right?
What about Ron?
I remember. Chill said the Pacers were dark horse contenders, and people got onto him. I remember it was
and the reason why, and yes, y'all did jump on me because I said that. Am I ridiculous to think that they're a dark horse contender because they was in the Eastern Conference Championship the year before? And you dudes did jump on me like, well, wait a minute. With the teams in the Eastern Conference, who are they better than? Well, here we are from January to the NBA Finals, Penn. They're in the NBA Championship. Well, this Atlanta team, and I want you to stay right there, Penn, because this Atlanta team, being as talented as they are, Trae, I feel like he's entering the peak of his career. I think he's going to be 27 next season.
He's going to be 27 next month.
Yeah, entering the peak of his career. With that being said, with the amount of talent that they have, is it ridiculous for me to think that the Atlanta Hawks, with the Eastern Conference being what it is it ridiculous for me to think that they could be in the, if I saw them in the East Finals? Is that ridiculous for me to think that?
It's not ridiculous to think they could be the number one seed. I'm not saying they can't be. I'm saying there's a lot of stuff that has to go very right for that to happen. And I'm saying sometimes we do this with certain teams where we're like, oh, well, if everything goes right for them and everything goes wrong for everybody else, sure, they'll be the number one seed and they'll represent the East.
We're not doing that, though. We're saying
kind of are.
No, we're not.
Because there's no way in hell.
Okay, so if I say for the Magic, it's the same thing that applies to them. For you and Ox to say that the Magic are coming out the East, that's because everything went right. You're not just thinking that the Magic are going to come out the East. I'm just saying, for instance, you might think the Knicks. I don't know who it is. Either way, if you're saying that the Knicks are coming out the East, you're not saying that because you're like, oh, well, OG Anunoby got hurt, but I still think they could come out the East. No, you're thinking best case scenario. I'm thinking if Trae Young is Trae Young, Jalen Johnson does what he did last year, Zachary Ricochet takes a step forward, Dyson Daniels continues to be the best perimeter defender in the league, wink at Mars, then I think that the Atlanta Hawks are the best team in the East.
They're going to be trouble.
Did you see Kristaps Porzingis in the playoffs?
I've seen Trae Young. Well, it's funny you say that. Kristaps Porzingis came out and said he has what was affecting him last year is completely gone. He said he has no issues. So now we have now we can expect Kristaps Porzingis, based on what he said, to look better this next year. Maybe to get back to his form when they were in the finals 2 years ago. So I'm saying with all that, yes, I believe the Atlanta Hawks are an issue.
Which brings me to my next question, Ox. What happens if Atlanta is in the NBA championship this year? And it's
losing to whoever comes out the West.
Even if that's true, Moss. Or let's make a proclamation. If they end up in the NBA championship and they end up, I don't know, off the strength of Porzingis. How we talking about Porzingis now?
Oh my God!
You already won it.
That's amazing.
You already won it.
How we talking about this guy right here? Huh?
Definitely talking about him different, Ron. We definitely talking about him different.
How many games did Porzingis play in the 2024 playoffs? Like 6?
No, I think 3 or 4. I know he played them 2 games.
7. He played 7 games, and one of them was where they gave him they put him out there in Game 5 of the finals. It's like, we want you out here so when we win. But he wasn't even healthy to play in that game.
I mean, they smoked. They ended up smoking Dallas.
What do you mean? How we talking about Porzingis? He won a chip. I mean, all due respect, he was very important during that regular season. Game 1 of the finals, he was arguably the best player on the court. That's not changing the perception of Porzingis. I don't think it should change the perception of Porzingis.
Just putting it out there because I know how people get when guys win championships. I know how they get. But Penn, you were saying something. I'm sorry to interrupt.
We're having legacy.
The Hawks are like a second tier team in the East. Almost a third tier team.
Even if Porzingis gets back to his ways, 2023 Porzingis.
Even still,
tier 2 sounds fair. I think Cleveland are clearly tier 1, and New York, I guess.
Cleveland and the Knicks.
I think Cleveland is just better than everyone in the East, but I'm fine having the Knicks in that tier 1 too.
And if depends on how you feel.
Now judging off of what I'm assuming Mars is saying, that would make me put Atlanta as a tier 3 team.
And that would make sense to me. That would make sense.
Right, because if it's Cleveland standalone, then that next
and the
tier
Knicks could be standalone too.
Okay,
Orlando.
I would say Knicks and Orlando. Yeah, I would say Knicks and
fair,
Orlando, and then I put Atlanta.
Why is Orlando? Ron, I might be on some nonsense here, Ron. Why is Orlando?
Nonsense. Let's both. Where are my glasses?
I'm not as high on Orlando as Ox is, but
that's what I'm saying, Ron. Why is Orlando clearly better than Atlanta? What's going on here? What am I missing? Why? They
were better than them last year, and then they also got better this offseason. It wasn't even offseason yet, but you know what I mean. When they got,
I know Orlando made a crucial addition with Bane, and also they get an injury addition with Suggs, so they get two people. But I just think
they were better than them last year.
The
plus internal development.
Plus internal development, but that's the same thing with the Hawks.
Would it shock you?
The 3 additions, right quick, Pin, the 3 additions that they got, I think, are humongous. They get an NBA champion, Kristaps Porzingis, who claims that he is completely good, ready to go. That's just as big of an addition
Has a player ever said
no?
Joel Embiid.
I'm just going based on what he's saying. But I'm saying,
I don't think a player who's ever arrived on a new team has ever said, "Yeah, I'm more healthy."
No doubt, Mars. Be that as it may, if he is back to his 2023 ways, that is just as big of an addition as Desmond Bane is.
I think it's a bigger addition, personally.
Okay, then. All right, then. So you get that.
Wow. Porzingis is better than Bane.
Porzingis is a bad motherfucker. Let's not just not just the threes.
Right.
Fully healthy Porzingis.
Rim protection.
Rim protection. Yes.
But then
maybe he's not better than Bane, but in around the same ballpark.
I get an all-star caliber 4 as well. We talk about injury additions. You guys get Jalen Suggs back, but I get Jalen Johnson. That right there,
who's
that
better?
Might give them.
Who's the better
Jalen is better?
Come on. What?
Other than Green.
What? What you mean? Who's the better Jalen? This isn't even a question.
Brunson, the best.
They both making the same money.
There's an episode for you. The NBA current Jalen rankings. Middle name being Jalen counts.
Whose middle name is Jalen?
Yeah, I don't know people's middle name.
Scotty Jalen.
Oh, his middle name's Jalen.
Emmanuel Quickly.
That's a terrible middle name.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Emmanuel Jalen Quickly is a great name. What are you talking about?
That's a dope first name, but terrible middle name.